You ever do something so rock-f***ing stupid that you just had to make a video about it and put it on the internet? I'm not normally one to indulge in fancy name brand material goods. These branded band-aids and this Dan Wesson heritage represent very rare momentary lapses in self-control. Being a special purchase, I opted to break protocol and follow the instructions, and felled strip it every 50 rounds during break-in. But then disaster. On my first attempt at the range, I gave myself what's called an idiot mark. The range was closing momentarily and it was dark and I was rushing. What's worse, I thought I could sand the scratch out, not realizing that sanding a bead blasted finish is about as useful as mowing your lawn with a flamethrower. This ignorant, deceitful, botched repair attempt is 10 times as embarrassing as the scratch itself would have been, and now I've got the world's only Dan Wesson worth being ashamed of. So how do you fix a scratch in the bead-blasted finish on a $1,700 1911? You spend $27 at Harbor Freight, of course. Put $1 in the jar for every time you walked out with a Harbor Freight air tool, assuming the nipple was included. What is the source of the classic Harbor Freight smell? Like, chemically, what causes it? Is it intentional? Can't you smell that smell? It's a simple tool, but don't try it with baking soda or crushed walnut, because it'll clog every other second. Before we start, I'm going to tear this thing to the frame. I can't think of anything worse than getting abrasive blasting material inside the moving parts of a hand-fitted, tight tolerance tool like this. If you already know how to strip a 1911, skip to here. Of course, make sure it's clear. Happy, Dad? Push to defeat the recoil spring and rotate the barrel bushing. Don't let go or you'll get skull-fucked by the plug, or worse, you'll lose it. Hammer back, and slide the slide until the slide release lines up with the smaller notch in the slide. Then pull the slide release lever out, but don't twist it too much because that's how you get idiot marks in the first place. Set the slide away. Take the grips off using an appropriate tool. Next, take a small brass punch and a small hammer of the non-marring variety. You're going to push this mainspring housing pin to the right. See the dimple there? That's where you want to hit it. Pull out the sear spring. Remove the thumb safety just like you did the slide release lever. And watch out for this plunger spring. It's specifically engineered to fly off and never be seen again. With the thumb safety out, you can now also pull out the grip safety and set that aside. Remove the hammer pin by pushing it from right to left with a punch. Note the little lip on the pin. And pull out the hammer. Same thing with the sear pin. Here's the sear. Then pull out the disconnect up here. And this is how it looks installed. Now, the trigger has this scratch in it right here. It was there out of the box, so this may be futile, but regardless, we don't want sand in the mag release mechanism or the trigger, so they both come out next. Push the mag release and turn the slotted screw head a quarter turn until it releases, and pop it out. That frees up the trigger to drop out the rear of the frame. And that's it. Let's take care of those scratches. Here's the media I'm using. I don't want to get these tiny pieces of crushed glass in my eyes, ears, lungs, or other orifices, so some PPE is in order. I've got a COVID mask that I found under my car seat from last April, some safety maglarses, and long cuff nitrile gloves to keep it out of my sleeves here. Goggles might be a better idea. Oh well, sent. You just load the media into the hopper here and control the feed by moving this lever down. Here's one side of the trigger, and here is the other side. Can you tell which is original and which is the one I touched up? Because I can't. Onto the frame. Ooh, trying real hard not to come off as giddy. This looks absolutely factory, maybe even better. No signs of a scratch, but I did make some mistakes. First, don't tape it. The media gets in there anyway, and then you wind up with tape lines because you can't feather the finish. I had a horrible one and ended up blasting the whole entire frame to get rid of it, which took an extra 10 minutes, so no big deal. Lesson number 2, remove all oil and grease first. Dry media is much easier to blow off than media mixed into a wet, gritty, greasy paste. It's taken me forever to get this all out. And that's it. If you need a tutorial on reassembly, then stick around, but if not, then thanks for watching. Little drop of mom's friendly oil on the trigger guide. And slide it in like so. Like so. Like so. There we go. Make sure it's not gritty. Insert the mag release, like so, and turn the screw a quarter turn to lock it. And check for functionality. I've got a little bit of grease on the disconnect. Loosely assemble the sear and the disconnect and slip it into the back of the frame. Note the sear spring wedge faces down and the curvature of the sear faces rearward. Once the holes are lined up, insert the sear pin left to right. Next, insert the hammer, line up the hole, and insert the pin. The sear spring is next. It may look complicated, but it's really easy. You know it's up far enough when the lip in the bottom of the spring engages with the slit in the frame here. Reinstall the mainspring housing temporarily to compress the sear spring. Ew, that's still gritty. Gonna have to go over that again. Make sure the hammer strut is fully seated into the mainspring cap. With the grip safety inserted, fully seat the mainspring housing and insert the mainspring housing pin. Relax, it's a tiny nylon mallet. It's her first time, so she's tight. Get your thumb safety. And your new plunger spring, because your old one left orbit, and insert the phallic end into the tube first. You can see the thumb safety lever won't insert fully. Find something to compress the spring with, preferably not metal. I like to use these plastic iPhone repair nylon spudger things. Be careful, world, I'm learning. This rag should catch the spring if it decides to emancipate itself from my possession again. Line up the recoil spring guide and the barrel link here, and slip the slide back onto the frame with a little lube. Cock the hammer, turn on the thumb safety, and insert the slide release lever. If it doesn't pop in, it's not lined up right, and if you try to wiggle it and force it, you'll earn yourself an idiot mark. Insert the barrel bushing and depress the recoil spring and rotate to lock it into place. Nothing left now but to reinstall the grips. Maybe not. I could just throw out the media blaster after this one use, and I'd say it was still worth all $17. But nah, I'm going to try to find some uses for it after I find that screw. Thanks for watching.